I remember it like it was yesterday. It was Friday in the year of 2002. I was in the beautiful, beautiful city of Oceanside, California, San Diego, California to be exact. And I had one of my good friends who had just got back into the city. His name is Kenneth. And when he got into my car, we drove out to the pier. It was 6:30 at night on a Friday, right after work. You gotta know, young people, on a Friday night, we're celebrating that it's the weekend. Yes. And we would go to the pier, back in them days, wash our car, wash the wheels that are still spinning, look at the beautiful ladies on the beach. In California, they're multicultural. Not just black, but black, white, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, all of God's creation was at the beach. Me and him would get there early on Fridays, and we would sit there and we would just watch and talk about life. On this one particular Friday, he had just came back home from traveling, and he didn't really understand what was going on in my life. All of our friends was pulling up to the beach, and we were sitting there talking about life and the beautiful ladies on the beach and the okay, ugly guys on the beach and how we wish we were the best looking ones on the beach. But while we was laughing on the outside, here's the truth. I was depressed on the inside. I was miserable on the inside because little did he know that I was sleeping in the very same car that he and I was talking about for 6 months of my life. I want to ask you this simple question as we dive into today's conversation. How many of us have actually smiled on the outside, but has been depressed or sad on the inside? We walk into work and we're smiling, hey, how are you? I'm doing great. But really on the inside, you feel like crying. Really on the inside, you're worrying about how you're going to feed your kids. You're worrying about a relationship that just ended. You're worrying about what are you going to do next. But on the outside, you look good. My inside was because I put myself into $35,000 worth of debt. My inside was because I had just got into a huge argument with my mom and dad right before that, and I was sleeping in the back of the car for no reason. My inside was because I was trying to impress everyone in the world. And finally, at that moment, I said, I am sick and tired of where I am at. We didn't make it to stay for the whole entire beach celebration because I was tired of celebrating a fake life. I took him home and I went home and I wrote down a plan for my entire life. I said, you know what? I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to get back on to my own 2 feet. I got a job. I got 2 jobs. I showed up to this job every single day for 5 years. I started off as the lowest paid employee, and over 5 years, I showed up on time, I showed up and I worked hard, and I was building somebody else's personal brand for 5 years. I would skip lunch because I wanted to rise to the top. I would do things for other people because I wanted to make the money to get out of this debt. How many of us have actually served the company for so long, rose to the top, gave them our all? We used to get paid on Fridays. You know, for these younger people in the room, y'all don't know about this because y'all used to direct deposits. But back in the 2000s, we got our checks right at lunchtime. And we would get our check and we'll run over to the bank to get our money for the weekend. But on this particular Friday, I couldn't run to the bank because I was doing overtime and I was training someone else to take over my position because they were elevating me to a higher position. I go home, I'm looking at myself in the mirror right there in my own bedroom. I look down at the check and I see the check is the last name of the owner's company followed by associates. I look in the mirror and I'm like, dang, man, you've worked 5 years for this guy, for this company, for this organization, for this brand, but you haven't done nothing for your own personal brand. You're building somebody else's dream, but what dream are you building for yourself? You're working Monday through Friday. You're putting in hard labor, and they get to enjoy the fruit of your labor. The bill company gets to enjoy the fruit of your labor. What do you get on Mondays? And I say, you know what? I can't do it no more. I'm going to be a good steward. I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to show up on my job on time, and I'm going to do exactly what I want to do because I want to show God that I can be faithful. But I am no longer working for somebody else solely. I'm coming home and I'm building my personal brand. And that's what I started doing because I had this revelation that your personal brand is the most effective way to create impact, meaning, and financial freedom you've always desired, you've always deserved, you've always wanted. You cannot do that if you're only serving somebody else and you're not doing what God has put on the inside of you. You can be good over here, that is great. You can serve them, but God put something on the inside of you. Use that. Even if they may not look at you and say, what are you doing? Even if it means you may lose some friends. Some people may call you brother. Some people may call you sister. But it's all right. You see, over the last, let's say about 7 months, I've been traveling. I've been on the road studying people's personal brands, people who are just like you and I, and they're making 7 figures a year. They're making 8 figures a year. They're making 9 figures a year. And this was sparked to me a few years ago. I was talking to my good friend, Patrice Washington, and you all know her. She's on the stage yesterday. She is probably one of the reasons why I'm going so hard, because a few years ago, she said, Anthony, I don't have half your tribe, but I make more money than you. And I'm like, dang, Patrice, this shut me down. But when you look at Patrice, I started studying people like Patrice because I was like, that makes no sense to me. When I studied Patrice, when I studied everyone else, I came up with this thing called the personal brand success curve. And here's 3 things. I studied 113 personal brands over the last 7 months. And out of all of them, these are the 3 main things that they really love. They have meaning, they're going after impact, and they make a lot of money. But the money was the last thing that I saw from them. The very first thing was I actually have meaning and purpose to my life. And I'm impacting people. And I'm impacting my life. And because I'm focused on that, I make a lot of money. So I started saying, okay, cool, great. I see you. I hear you. And so I broke this thing down into 3 people. Now, what I'm about to show you, some of y'all are going to resonate with one of these lines. And if you resonate with this first line, I call it the red line. I'm praying for you, but I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you out. You see, to really build a solid brand, the red line people, these people have poor character, just no morals. They'll adapt to the whatever environment. They're yes mans, they're yes sirs, or they don't have anything. They really don't care. They do whatever they want to do just to be accepted. So not only do they have poor character, but you know what? They have no brand. They think they have a brand, but they absolutely have no brand. And the last thing is, they are inconsistent. These people do not show up. Now, the next line of people are the yellow people. Now, a lot of people are on this line. I call this the average line. These are the people who have good character. They're cool people. They're great people. And you know what? They got a little brand. They show up. They deliver. Yeah, they're cool people. You know what? They also have a little bit of consistency. These are the people. Watch this. I'm going to hurt some of your feelings. I love you. And I'm going to rush out of here when I say this. These are the people where they allow their mood to impact their moments. You see, how are you doing? I'm doing all right. Or you're single and I just broke up with my boyfriend, so I don't want to show up and do what God has called me to do. I want to be depressed. I want to just soak in my depression. Someone pissed me off at my job, so I'm just going to be, These are the people, they're good people. They have good morals. They have good intentions. These are hardworking people. But when their mood shifts, so does their impact in their moments. Now, these are the people who I call them the green line, the Patrice line. This is who I call. These are the people that they have good character. They have good morals. Patrice said yesterday, she turned down so many. I've talked to this woman for the last 3-4 years. She done turned down so many things with great opportunities. She turned down several TV shows, movie opportunities, and she only said yes to one that we all are going to be supporting. But because it lined up with who she was as an individual. So you have good character, followed by, you also have a powerful brand. Here's how you know someone has a powerful brand. When they're not even in the room, but they still have impact. When's the last time you weren't in the room and you still was impacting that room? And it's the last thing that I learned with these people who are very, very successful, and they've built 7-figure brands, is that they followed a brand formula that they don't even know that they were even following themselves. They don't even know. I got to ask you this question, and I don't want you to speak out loud because I don't want your neighbor to hear what you're saying, because I want you to be truthful. A lot of you all want to build. A lot of us want to continue building 7-figure brands, 6-figure brands. And over the last year, I've been able to build a 7-figure business on my own with an amazing team by really studying and submitting myself to really spiritual partners. And here's what I've learned, that I had to tell myself I was not on the green line. I was on the yellow line. I had flaws, and I still have them. But everyone who I've studied, man, they were on that green line, and they were powerful. But you got to ask yourself this, and I want you to ask yourself this right now. What line are you on? If you're on the red, you got to be honest and say, I'm on the red, and I'm ready to get to the yellow. If you're on the yellow, you got to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, yo, I'm on the yellow, but I'm ready to get to the green. And if you're ready to get to the green, I want you to say green right now. No. If you're ready to get to the green, say green right now. Let's do it. Let me show you how to get there real quick. I call this the personal brand formula. This is how you build a 7-figure business and it sustains surpass you. You can build a 7-figure business, but you always have to work. But when you build it the right way, it lasts. Here's the very first thing, y'all. I want you to draw this if you got your notepad, or take a picture at the very end, because I want you to go home with this. Number one, you got to have character. You have to be a man or woman of character. You have to have morals. You have to stand for something. What you stand for should not please everybody in this room. It shouldn't. A lot of people ask me, well, Anthony, what are you doing now, man? Let me tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to black people. That's who I'm talking to. Some of y'all may not like that, but that's who I am. I'm talking to black people, helping them get out of debt and build wealth and really go after who they are as an individual. Because I want to go back to my community and help them out. While I love all people, I got to stand true to who I am. I got to stand on my own morals for who I am. I got to have character. You see, once you have character, boom, next, it produces content. Once you really stay true to who you are and you're studying and you're growing and you're evolving, it produces your own content. Content that changes first your life. The reason why some of us, our podcasts have not scaled, our YouTube shows have not blown up, our businesses have not blown up, is because you're not producing content that changes your own life first. You're sitting here, you're watching what they say, you go over here and you regurgitate what they say, but it didn't come from your own heart. And people, we can sense, that wasn't you. That was someone else who told you to say that, or that wasn't you. That was someone else who you saw on YouTube and you repeated what they said. The reason why my brand has scaled so fast, so fast, is because I started speaking about what's on my heart and what's in my mind, and I'm convicted about it. I went viral a couple of years ago. I went viral again. I told people, as a single man, I would not take someone out on the first date and spend no more than $50 to $100 on the first date. I'm convicted about that. You know why? Because every time I went out on a date and I spent all this money, I'm the one that got to pay the bill, not her. And the last thing I want to do is show up for all the tryouts, but then when I get to the finals, my wife, I can't show up and perform. So I put something in place to where I'm like, you know what, listen, if you're my wife, you're going to understand what I'm doing will impact you. The content that I'm doing comes from within inside of me that I'm passionate about. And if you really want to build a 6-figure, 7-figure business, you got to have content that first impacted your life. Once it impacts your life, you'll deliver it in such an impactful way that it now impacts them. And when it impacts them, you now build a community. You don't have followers. You don't have subscribers. You don't have supporters. You have a tribe. You have a family. You are serving them. And when you're building a community, now you're building income. Now you're starting lives. Let me tell you where most people mess up at when it comes to building a brand. They're trying to get to 1 million followers rather than go deep down and serve the 1,000 that you have. Isn't it funny that when you plant a seed, what happens to a seed? It doesn't shoot up. Not a seed, a seed. When you plant a seed, it goes down. Why does it go down? It got to get rooted to something. Once it gets rooted, then it starts growing up. Create a system within your organization that when they get into your brand, when they experience your brand, you have something down so deep that they feel like, I have to be attached to this brother. I got to be attached to this sister. And as they're growing, they're also helping you build your community. You see, once you build your community, it's been something that's been said on this stage several times. You got to be consistent. Consistency is important. You got to be consistent with your message, consistent with the people who you love, consistent with your tribe, consistent with studying. One of the things that I do every single day now, my mentor, Pastor Dr. Darius Daniels, he is probably the best communicator I have ever met in my entire life. He has me doing this thing now. He says, Anthony, every single day when you get up, read the word. I'm a Christian man. I'll leave it right there. I don't want to offend nobody if they're not a Christian man, but I'm a Christian man. My foundation is on Christianity. So I get up every single day, I read the word. Then he has me doing, after you read the word consistently, read your world that you're impacting. Once you read the word and you read the world, now it produces something on the inside of you that generates content that you can now impact. But you got to be consistent with studying for yourself, not studying to be on the stage. If you really want to build a successful brand, the reason why I think a lot of people are missing out is because you're studying to perform, not studying to grow. And you have to be consistent at studying to grow rather than just perform. So when you do all these things, when you're operating out of morals and stand for something, you have character, you have content, you have a solid community, a community that may only be 1,000, 2,000 people, whatever that is, it's your community that has been given to you, stewarding it well, you're being consistent, now that's going to produce currency. That's going to produce income. That's going to produce a paycheck. That's going to produce a 7-figure brand, $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month, you name it. Whatever you want to do, that's what it's going to produce. Everyone that I meet, they say, Anthony, how did you do it? How are you doing it? What systems are you doing? How are you making all this money? How are you doing it? How are you growing so fast? How are you get 100,000 followers in less than 9 months? Man, I don't know. I ain't got no answer. I'm just stewarding what God has given me. I'm showing up. I'm being consistent. And you know what? I'm living in my truth. Whether people like it or not, I've lost friends. I've lost people who I've looked up to simply because I am passionate about what I want to do. And I refuse, like Clark said yesterday, to bend to somebody else so I can make a little bit of money. Do you really want to be successful? Do you really want to build an impactful 6-figure, 7-figure brand? Follow this personal brand formula. Get in contact with me. And y'all, let's do it together. God bless you.
All right, let's hear it for Anthony.
So awesome.
Awesome.
Hope y'all took that picture.
We got some questions for you before you go. Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
Love the chart. I wish I would have taken a picture, but there was some
Somebody
sideways
got it.
angle. Somebody got it for me, I'm sure. You talk about time. You talk about consistency. These are all important things, and we're hearing that as a theme throughout our talks today.
Yeah.
You know, a big part of that can help a lot of people is outsourcing, partnerships. Can you talk about that a little bit, and when you maybe let go a little bit so that you can grow?
Man, you know what? Here's one thing I have learned over the last 7 years. I am not the smartest person on my team. I'm not the best. I'm actually weak in a lot of areas. And I've learned that, you know what, if I really want to scale and grow something impactful, I have to be willing that somebody come in who's smarter than me, wiser than me, more intelligent than me, probably even looks better than me, to come on my team and just really scale it. One of those guys is Alex. He joined me as my my creative director. He's taken my whole look, feel, just away from me. So I'm actually able now to just focus on studying to improve myself. And I trust him to make sure that whatever we do, it looks good as a company. And I got to tell you, man, I thought I was doing a good job. But when he came on, hey, I look better.
There you go.
Thank you.
Hire
Thank you.
people who make you look better.
Yes,
I
it.
love that. I love that.
it.
So one other question. Did you ever get scared? Were you ever in a place where the consistency, showing up with the right character, knowing that you were trying to do the right thing was scary?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm still, I think, and I'll be honest and vulnerable, I'm still scared to this day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think anyone who is not fearful of the assignment that they have, that's the kind of person I do not want to be around. You know, I wake up every single day fearful. Not fearful to where I'm scared because I know who I am and what's on the inside of me. But, you know, I have different families now who depend on me and my brand. And I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things to make sure that this wife and that child is not hurt by something that we do within my company. And so I'm fearful that, God, you know what, hey, I'm flawed, I'm not perfect, but man, guide me because I'm doing this on your own. So I'm absolutely scared. I'm absolutely fearful. But, you know, I have great friends in my circle, and I have great accountability partners around me who hold me accountable. I talk to, you know, one of my mentors every single day. We pray. And I'll tell you, here's the secret to my success. As I'm growing, get with someone who would tell you about yourself up front and love you through that process.
Yeah.
You
Awesome.
get around someone who be like, yo, Anthony, that was wrong, but I love you. I'm going to cover you, not talk about you behind your back, but like, yo, I got you. It's between you and I. Man, listen, God has been good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Let's
Thank
give
you,
him
Anthony.
a hand.
We appreciate
Love
it.
you
Thank
all.
you very much.